Hello, full moon in Scorpio. Honestly, I've had a lot I wanted to share, but also a lot I didn't feel it was necessary to share. And things are happening so quickly and overlapping and layered and nuanced in ways that there really isn't grounded language for just yet. And I feel like that speaks to the qualities, challenges, charisma of this full moon. Since it's a Scorpio full moon, that means the sun is currently in its opposition or opposing or partner sign, Taurus. And the more this energy grounds for me in my body, I'm starting to feel that the anchor that is needed, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling burdened, if you're feeling grief-stricken, if you're feeling whatever you may be feeling, because once again, Scorpio is a fixed water sign. I view this elementally as ice. And ice burns, okay? When I discovered that for the first time, yikes. But Taurus being an anchor, a fixed earth for this fixed water, feels like an invitation to sink deeper into the qualities, the embodiment of wherever Taurus is in your chart. Mind you, you may not even have planets there, or asteroids, or whatever it may be, angles, but you still have a house that is represented by Taurus in your chart. And this is kind of where astrology turns into math. So I have an 11th house and whole sign. I have an 11th house Scorpio, everything, which means my focus or illumination with the full moon is on community, innovation, connection, really, the ways, oh my god, so many words, it's squirrel. Basically, the 11th house is the essence of Aquarius, which in my case is being illuminated through the Scorpio or Scorpionic lens, which means in the opposing house that I have Taurus in, which is the 5th house, is going to ultimately serve as the grounding force in what may be being resurrected, rebirthed, transformed, transmuted, and wherever Taurus is can also just be a tool of guidance, of spirit, an altar to anchor in what is being illuminated in this moment. I know many people have associated the full moon with releasing, but I don't really necessarily get to that point in the lunar cycle until the last quarter moon is when we finally start the releasing process or letting go of what was a fullness and during the full moon. Just like in the case of a new moon, you're planting seeds, yes, but you're taking action closer towards the first quarter moon. There's a method to the madness, and everything has a time and place of cyclical nature. When we are in flow and outside of agenda, then we can truly tap into the cyclical nature of the astrology at hand. This is also our first full moon since Uranus went into Gemini last week. It also feels important to name that today, a little bit of tomorrow, today is in Friday or Venus Day, is the last day that Mars is still in Aries. I mention this because Mars is an old ruler of Scorpio, Scorpio being a ruler of Pluto. So Aries being cardinal fire, an initiated fire, moving our thoughts, the ways that we take in information, really the way that our frequency is able to ground through intellectualization is shifting tomorrow into Taurus. So another way to ground what is happening here in the now. And this feels like an important reminder that right now you might not find language for what you're feeling. You're supposed to feel it. And this is something I feel a pattern that comes up in supremacy culture, just those that are still indoctrinated to the status quo of being. There's this need and almost expectation or entitlement to directions of certainty. It feels very fucking important to name that if we are moving towards something new, if we are moving different to experience new, you're gonna have to switch some things up, boo. You're gonna have to dance and tangle in the unknown, in the liminal space, in the uncertainty. You're gonna have to find fool-like laughter when it comes to thinking you knew and you actually don't know at all. But then you know that you know nothing at all, right? Socrates. And what's being illuminated with the Scorpio moon is the things that nobody knows about you, other than you. Mind you, there may be things that are even hiding from you. Check your 12th house. But I feel like what's being illuminated here is who you are when nobody's watching, is what's on the pedestal, on the spotlight in this moment. And so if you haven't gotten fucking real with yourself since the eclipse season starting back in February, mid-February, this can ultimately be a reckoning of sorts. This can be full, total collapse in all planes of existence. Now, if you have taken steps towards the things that have been illuminated since the eclipse season and in this moment, even if it's bite-sized chunks, even if it's planting seedlings, forgetting to water them, tripping over them, whatever it may be, this might just be a moment where you feel identity loss, you feel maybe a lack of worth surrounding your identity or surrounding like what you have to offer, what is of value. You could be feeling like you don't know who you are in the community where you find yourself in this moment. Maybe you don't have a community. Maybe you don't know how to communicate just yet what you need from your community. This can be a full resurrection in how you feel at home with yourself, or what you call home, not just like a physical shelter, but how you feel at home in your shell and what you're protecting. It can also be connected to the way that you play, to the way that you relate, to the way that you form intimacy in playful ways, the ways that you express yourself. Maybe your routines, your sense of systems or awareness around the rituals that keep you of good health, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and even the ways that you are of service, or how those ways of caring or routine for yourself are a way of upholding service to others, or even yourself, through yourself to others. Because this can also be a total overhaul of how you thought you would relate to the world or other people, to the ways that you would be in partnership to one another, and even the physical ending of relationships can also be a part of that's grounding into this energy. This can also be a time and space where you realize that what you're receiving or what you're giving is not balancing out, like the checkbook, the intimacy into me I see checkbook is not balancing out. Maybe it's a time of seeking higher knowledge, or seeking the curriculum that is needed for your spirit at this time, or returning back to curriculum that is necessary to integrate the time that has been had. This can also be a total overhaul of career or your identity, in not just upholding these systems or the ways that the work is demanded of us in this now, but also reconnecting with your purpose, reconnecting with your why. Why do you want to offer this to the world? And how does that feel in your body outside of the enmeshment of financial need or ease? And circling back to community, the identity, like what is the definition of community? That is something I want everybody to make that your homework. We need to come up with a consensual and a definition of community that brings equilibrium to us all, not just what we believe or have been shown is community, and also what community has been weaponized as in the ways that we are able to show up. Whereas we have time theft, we have different capacities, we have all different types of systems weighing on our connection to community and the ways that we're able to show up, and also what we ultimately at times may feel entitled to or expectant of community, when really we need friends, we need systems to change, we need a lot of different things. I stress about this part. I'm going around the wheel if you haven't noticed. The 11th house, because Aquarius is in Pluto, which is going to be ruling over this full moon today. So we're having a lot of communal discussions in our intrapersonal discoveries that we're witnessing, right? And then of course this can also show up in our subconscious, in our dream patterns, in our ways of hiding from ourselves, or keeping our own taboo, our own inner workings hidden from ourselves or others. Once again, this being a time where we're receiving the mirror of who we actually are, outside of perfectionism, outside of what we feel is expected of us, and also the role that we've been playing, if you have been playing a role. Mind you, it's almost impossible to not end up playing a role if who or what you're in relationship to is also playing a role. That will ultimately come up no matter what. So now that I said a whole bunch of words, I'd love for us all to take a moment just to sit with maybe things that may have come up, maybe even take a moment to recall what house you have Scorpio in, or planets that are there, what house or planets you have in Taurus, and also note where Gemini is in your chart, note where Aquarius is in your chart, and also note where Libra is, because those air and fire are going to be trining and doing their things all for a long while. And as you feel called to, on your next inhale, fill up all the way. Maybe even sip in more air than you think you can, and hold it at the top, feeling that fullness for a moment. Noticing how the mind stills or busies itself. And in your exhale, I want you to empty all the way out. Maybe even taking a moment to stay empty. Offering yourself the gift of what it feels like to take a chance on new life as you take in the next inhale. I probably said this a couple times throughout, but if I had one crumb of advice, this is the full moon that I would invite you to lay old paradigms, old roles, old timelines, everything that you have outgrown, everything that isn't allowing you to meet your edge over the last couple months. This is a full moon to bury them. Bury them with honor, bury them with reverence, bury them in whatever way or ritual that feels like home to you. And if it so happens to coincide with the houses that have been listed throughout this video, even better, to be a part of that ritual of intention. But most of all, I hope you give yourself time and space to roll around with your feelings. Have that floor time, have that horizontal sit, go outside, take a few deep breaths, return to the water of you. I love you.